All right, today, episode number 8 of the Epic Cash podcast. I'm joined by Kyle J. Kemper, educator, author of The Unified Wallet. You can find on Amazon. Entrepreneur and Canadian. Thanks for joining us today on the Epic Cash podcast. This is the first episode since our mainnet launch, and I wanted to mention that we've already had over 40,000 blocks mined. So thanks for coming on the show today.
Wow. Congratulations on that amazing number. And thank you very much for having me on the show, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We're doing some cryptocurrency blockchain talk this morning, having a little bit of coffee. You're a few hours behind me, so he's just getting going. So I always like to ask people from the onset where they started their life and where you grew up, and you want to tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in Ottawa, Canada, and I guess I'm a Canadian. I came from like a little quasi-political family, and my father was in business, so real estate, and then I went to university out in Dalhousie in Halifax, and been very kind of focused on business and entrepreneurship and marketing and transformation and technology. After university, worked in venture capital, and then joined a startup after that, worked in mobile application development, was really running with Blackberries. We had the opportunity to bet, should we bet on the iPhone? Should we bet on Blackberry? And we bet on Blackberry, and that was ultimately a mistake, especially considering at the time we were developing something that let you take photos and add filters and put it up online. And then a year later, Instagram came out.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty crazy how much of it, I don't know, BlackBerry had such a hold on especially the business, and everybody that was in business wanted a BlackBerry at one point, I can see.
Well, and I'm a Canadian too, and we were working with guys from Research in Motion, which is BlackBerry, and it was a great device. I loved my BlackBerry. That was my first real kind of smartphone. And then, ultimately transitioned over to Android and then on an iPhone. And yeah, not looking back. But, I remember looking at in this journey, and when worked in technology and then when worked in the service industry. My family owned some restaurants in Ottawa. I got kind of a little bit tired and I frankly lonely of working in tech space. So I went to my restaurant and started working as a server and a bartender, and which is awesome because it just interfaced with so many people, allowed me to test things and learn things. And it was through the restaurant that someone came in one day and started talking all about Bitcoin, and we never looked back.
Nice.
Yeah.
So were you always? It sounds like you were always interested in technology growing up and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had all the consoles kind of growing up, and early kind of adopter of, dial-up modems right through to you got cable and DSL, and been right through that whole kind of generational transformation.
Nice. So were you the type of kid that would take stuff apart and fix it, you would break up a computer or video game system and mod it, or?
No, never did that. I was never I never was one to be, tinkering with circuit boards or deconstructing and reconstructing.
More of a software type of interest then.
I like to play. I like to use products and enjoy products and have fun, have a good time.
Okay. So what about economics? Most of the people I have on this podcast so far are highly, interested in economic theory. Mostly Austrian school guys that I've had on here so far. Have you read many Austrian, school books like Murray Rothbard, Hans Hoppe, those guys, or are you not as big into economics?
Oh, I'm definitely big into economics. I wouldn't say I've been a scholar of Austrian School of Economics. I was really I would say that I was a student of Dr. Paul, Dr. Ron Paul.
Nice.
And he helped shine light on the Fed. I remember reading End the Fed and Revolution, and getting kind of like really inspired by that. And that was one of the triggers in my life, that kind of opened my eyes towards the need for an alternative currency system, or something different than central banks. And so there's that. I mean, I studied economics too. I like, with crypto, it's very basic, supply, demand, like economics. It's really relatable in terms of understanding. A lot of economics is concepts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I was in university studying economics, it was a lot of, graphs, and there's a lot of memorization of what was going on with it, but like the true application, the understanding, and contextualization has really taken hold, I'd say, like now, in understanding and looking at, like, in having been an educator and an evangelist for crypto for the last 5 years, but understanding this and looking into, like, micro issues to macro issues, thinking about things like how much Bitcoin should an individual hold, how much Bitcoin should a country hold, what about crypto, what about a portfolio of it, how can we hedge ourselves, how can we hedge our positions, like, with this uprising technology. I ran the Blockchain Association of Canada for 5 years, or led it. So that provided me all sorts of opportunities to interface with different industries and politicians and business leaders, and people, and discuss the nuances of crypto, and how and would just field a million questions. But at the core of it all is economic theory too.
So it's crazy how many people Ron Paul like sparked that flame with. It's like half the people I talk to have been like some way affected by his message. So it's pretty cool to hear. Did you actually study economics then? Is that what your focus was in school, or?
No. I mean, I took like a broad spectrum kind of commerce degree. So economics was one part of it, finance was one part of it, entrepreneurship, marketing, law, philosophy, lots of,
everything that you can apply to cryptocurrency and blockchain, basically.
Pretty well rounded, yeah. And I got out. Like, I remember there was a bit of a rat race for like people like competing in the finance world, like wanting to get all these finance courses. And I remember taking them. I was like, fuck this. Like, this is nasty. And they were all like lining up for like to get jobs with this bank or that bank or this bank. And it was like, they were big paychecks at the end of the day for like, committing yourself to Sauron. But I was like, no, I just stayed like, I don't want to do that. I want to talk about creating and marketing, and like, I want to enjoy myself. I'm not ready to commit 80 hours a week to go work for the devil.
Chain yourself to a desk and do their paperwork. Yeah, there's better ways to live. I agree. So you found Bitcoin when somebody came into your family's restaurant? Is that what you're telling me? When?
Well, I found Bitcoin the first time when I was at a friend's place. We were rendering video on one CPU. We were mining SETI on another CPU. And in this lag time, we were looking at bitcoin.org, and that was probably in like 2010. And it was like, I just dismissed it kind of outright. Didn't understand it. And then over the next 3 years, just more impressions. And, and finally someone came into my life, into the restaurant, who could answer all the questions. And I just asked him like questions after questions after questions after questions. And, next thing you know, we put a Bitcoin ATM into the restaurant. We brought that Bitcoin ATM to the Senate of Canada, had the chair of the Canadian Senate's Banking, Trade, and Commerce Committee buy $100 worth of Bitcoin at $500 a coin. And
made him some money then, right? If he held it.
I hope he's still got that. I'm sure he does. I don't feel like they would have spent that. So
what was the original thing that drew you to it? Was it just, what was that moment that you were like, wow, this is revolutionary, this is like what you mentioned Ron Paul, this is sort of like what the answer to all of our problems, or many.
Well, yeah. So scarcity, inclusivity, programmability, immutability, transparency, all the goodies. Like, Bitcoin had, has it all. And it had all these kind of key characteristics. And I could see that, it works. That was the other thing. I was like, okay, like get the wallet, like, send the money, like, okay, wow, look, it works. Like, this is great. I can't, and then, delving deeper into it, like not needing to understand it at like, a cryptography level of exactly how it's working, but just knowing that it's working. I think this is a parable to where we are today, where not everybody needs to understand how it works. Just know the trust in that it works.
Yeah, it's like how many people really understand how to send an email, or what's behind an email, like the actual process, or the internet even. Like, you ask somebody to explain to you how the internet works and they can't do it, so we just have to make Bitcoin that easy. Yeah.
Just need a wallet. You need a client. You need something to generate you an address.
Yeah. So how long after your interest in Bitcoin did you start like educating, and you wrote the book, Unified Wallet? How did that come about?
So, I mean, it was right away. We put that Bitcoin ATM in there, and I had to like explain Bitcoin to everybody. And then I worked at the restaurant while we had this ATM, and I had to explain how it worked, like basically all the time. And then I'm like, when I get passionate about something, I go on and learn about it. So, like, that was on. And then me and my friend Victoria, we started the Bitcoin Strategy Group, which was intended to be like a strategic advisory firm or like lobbying firm, because I'm based out of Ottawa, which is Canada's capital. It's like the DC of Canada. And so, we try to make a play on that. And then the Senate opportunity came along, and then I ended up presenting with CA Vertex, which was the largest exchange in Canada and one of the oldest exchanges in the world. And I ended up working with them. And then after working with them, I went and worked with ChangeDip, and then ChangeDip was awesome. I remember using that service and just like setting up so many people. And it was off chain, but it was so simple and it was so dope. And, rest in peace, ChangeDip. I look forward to your resurrection.
So what exactly do you delve into in the book? You want to tell us a little bit about the book specifically?
Oh yeah. So the book itself is like in this idea that in order to use crypto, you need a wallet. It's essential to have a wallet right now. Well, it's getting better, but right now there are so many different wallets for every single different protocol. It's just highly fragmented. You're required to get a whole bunch of different wallets, and they're just looking at what Bitcoin solved was the cash slip in your wallet. And if you think about all the card slips, I feel like blockchain can solve all the different card slips too, from loyalty to insurance to identity. To health cards, health records, it's all there. So in the book, it's basically I'd say maybe like a prophetic vision of what's possible what's possible in a world where we have a universal digital wallet, and how it can engender seamless experience and help unlock a digital golden age, where all the shitty friction points that we deal with because of these legacy systems are kind of removed.
Yeah, I'm planning on reading. I like to read what the forward thinkers have to say about what they think is going to happen in the space and stuff that's important.
Yeah, it's a really quick read too. It's like, and it's not like a tale of two cities in terms of prose. It's like this. It's made to be a good introduction, a good explainer, a good. Like it was based on recordings which I had transcribed and then edited, and then I edited. There's a really kind of example of exponential technology in action, and so that's what we did with that, and and then since then I've taken that, and now we're launching Swiss Key very shortly, which is a universal crypto wallet that makes it super easy to send requests and scan and exchange and buy.
So your goal with Swiss Wallet is to onboard basically every coin, or what? How's that going to work?
Oh, so it already supports like Bitcoin, Ethereum, EOS, Dash, Litecoin, Dogecoin, Monero, Qtum, whole bunch of coins.
And
enable more coins. And the thing is, like, the key is we're like, I have gone through all the wallets, and I like really love Edge Wallet. And like, I know Paul Pui, and he's just a fantastic individual. And I was in Switzerland a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, and I was talking to Paul, and it seemed like his direction for Edge Wallet was going in one way. I was like, man, Paul, it's like so essential. This is the best wallet. This is the wallet that everybody can activate on. Like, let's do a larger kind of activation strategy. And he's like, I love that idea, but that's not our direction right now. If you want to take that direction, like, we're open source. There's a revenue model in it. Just fork it and go your own, run with it, and we'll support you. Like, dude, let's do that. So then, it's been catalyzing momentum and activating, activating people and helping, get across this notion. This is really just a brand play more than anything. I believe that this symbol is a symbol of trust, is a symbol of security, is a symbol of privacy, is a symbol that would resonate when you press it on your app screen. When you press that symbol, like, there will be a subliminal like reference or inference involved in it, and that's something that it's based on Edge, which is just the best wallet, and so it's built for experts, but it's built to satisfy experts, but it's like making it really easy for noobs too, and for new people, so that experts can use this as a reference wallet to introduce their friends and their family and their coworkers too, and have them easily set up and send them a little bit of crypto and like show them how it works.
Very nice. Yeah, that's the most important thing, is like getting the novice and all these people on board. It's great to put out the literature like you and I have done, but creating actual things that people can use to make these transactions and just delve into the world of blockchain tech and see the value exchange and stuff is like paramount, I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to like study, and I know so many people have been trying to study it through and through, but when you actually use it, it becomes much more real. Like when you show an address and you get a transaction sent, it's like, wow, that would work. And then like, okay, now do the reverse. You send the transaction. It's like, wow, like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Like it takes that to do it. You can read books all day, but you won't get that light bulb won't click until you actually can see that. That's why I think, doing more of just activations, having good ambassadors, bringing in the support of coins towards here. Let's help get these out there, and let's do more real world activations where let's do a mass wallet activation. That sounds like fun. And that sounds like something that I would love to help catalyze. You go to conferences and everyone's there, they're all talking about theory and use cases, but it's like, let's just do a quick activation. Like who in the stands has a wallet on their phone? Like honestly, it's usually even like a full-fledged crypto conference, it might be 50%.
That's a low figure too. Yeah, exactly. We're talking about the people that are really excited about the space still, or, at least in theory they should be if they're at a conference,
Well, and it's like, and some of my friends too, like some of the OGs in the space, it's like, guys, like, do you have a wallet on your phone? Like, no, Trezor, like Trezor Ledger. Like, oh, great. You've got a vault at home that you're storing your precious gold in. That's great for it's good to have that, but you should also have some ready at the spend.
I totally agree with you. If you can't spend it, then, what good is it just sitting at home when you need it, right? Yeah.
Well, and Bitcoin satisfies so many different things. It can be a savings instrument. It can be a spending instrument. It can be a record of transactions. There's just so many different things you can do with it. Like the scope of utility of it is mind-boggling sometimes. So, when you're going there, sometimes with someone you're like, okay, here's a ledger. This is your savings account. You can put money on that. You can put it in the safety deposit box. Put it away. There's a piece of crypto art. Same thing. But on your mobile here is here is something for spending, or here's a Tangent card that literally can load up and give to somebody else.
It's I like the way you broke that down, because there's people in the space today that want to make Bitcoin or cryptocurrency one thing or the other. It has to be just a medium of exchange. it has to be just an asset class. And I think like you said, I think it's all these things combined. That's where the real beauty of it is like this is something the world hadn't seen since Bitcoin launched in 2009, and it's like you can't just put it in a box. It's like not just one thing.
Yeah, and that's why it's important that we we talk about these use cases.
Yeah.
We show them and we explain and just and help. I still always come back to the essentialness of the wallet. It's an essential app. In order to use email, you need an email client. In order to use Bitcoin, in order to use crypto, you need a wallet. And just that's the starting point. You don't need to use it every day. They're not suggesting that you try and go from 0 to 100 instantly. No, there's an onboarding cycle, but try, test, use. The nice things when we launch, we'll have integration with MoonPay already. So, you can buy using Apple Pay, right from it, at a 5.5% fee, which, ain't that bad considering it's credit card and it's instant delivery and it doesn't, involve heavy KYC.
And if you're holding it long term, you'll get that 5% back most likely in your portfolio eventually. So, not financial advice, just mentioning that. What about?
Well, historically, it doesn't take that long to get to see that.
Yeah, exactly. 5%. It goes up and down 5%. Most days you're going to see some movement. So what other projects are you interested in? You mentioned the ones, a lot of the ones you have. One last thing about the wallet. Do you have a launch date set?
Don't have we launched the whole company and the brand on August 8th. I was hoping maybe September 9th for the launch, but I don't think it's going to be quite ready then. We're already the 4th. We got to get App Store listing. There's the question around. I hope it's pretty seamless.
Yeah.
It's it's a fork variant with a couple improvements on Edge. So maybe a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks, maybe a month.
All right, I'll make sure to stay on top of that.
Yeah, but it's coming, and then then as we roll out, this hopefully proof is in the pudding.
Mm-hmm.
That's utilized. And the nice thing about it versus all the other wallets, one of the key differentiators, which makes it great for people. Have you used Edge Wallet?
No, I haven't, to be honest with you.
So what wallets do you use?
I like the Bread wallet. I do have a wallet on my phone. I like Bread. Bread's been pretty efficient for me. But I haven't used Edge. I'm gonna have to check it out a little bit more.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out. I really liked Bread Wallet for a very long time, but there was still this challenge of when bringing on new people. What's the first thing you have to do when you set up a Bread Wallet?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that
what's the question? What's the first thing you have to do when you set up a Bread Wallet?
Oh, you talking about KYC and stuff?
No KYC.
I don't honestly remember. I've had my Bread wallet for quite some time now.
So when you switch phones to another phone, what do you have to do to port your Bread wallet over to the new phone? Or if you lose your phone, how do you get your Bread wallet back?
There's some sort of address that you have to put in. What is your email? Or I don't even remember.
No, it doesn't even have that. Bread wallet just uses the words, just the seed number.
Oh yeah, your seed. Yeah.
You got to write down the seed. So it's these 12 words that are always there, which is for ask your mom, does this make sense?
Yeah, that is sort of a hassle. I agree with you. So
we're going to set you up. I'm going to send you some Bitcoin, but first you got to write down these 12 words.
There's a lot of people in the example. I'll use the example of Steam and Steam It, where I don't know how much you mess around with that, but they give you your initial passphrase, and then you got to hold on to it. And I've spoken with so many people that lose that, and then you add another 11 phrases to that. For example, and I can see why that would be such an issue with everyone. Definitely. So Edge in your project, they eliminate that.
Yeah. So Edge just uses the username and password. There's no forgot my password option. There's a password recovery thing that you can set up within the wallet, but otherwise it's just a username and password, which is a standard flow. People understand username and password. It's a little bit different, and we queue them after doing it to check the boxes. saying, I understand that, like, that SwissKey is not going to know, like, doesn't know who I am. If I lose my username and password, there's nothing I can do to recover it. I can't, like, we don't hold on to your funds. We don't have access to your funds. Like, it's a self-sovereign, non-custodial wallet.
Very nice. So you mentioned some of the projects that are going to be available to that wallet that you can use on the wallet. What other projects are you interested in outside of Bitcoin?
I'm interested in all sorts of different projects. I'm interested in like, the cash, the currency side of this, to the securitization movement of tokens, and how basically you can generate a token for anything these days, and it doesn't need to be like a worldwide hit success. It can literally be like tokenizing the equity structure of a business, or the revenue flow of business, and smart contracting the revenue of a business, so that you're not reliant on this age-old model of equity and accounting and dividends after profit, which requires a lot of trust. You can smart contract it now, so that as soon as revenue comes in, it splits out immediately, which I think is which is very transformational. I was an advisor to a product called Data Wallet, which is building a data exchange for you to take in all your data, apply AI and knowledge towards all of your data, and like integrate from a whole bunch of different sources, and build take back control of your data, and make it let's say upscale it and also de-identify it, so then you can then share your data and sell your data without compromising your identity. I think that has a potential, is a terrific use case, and a great example project, and that can help unlock universal basic income in a form. I like the notion of distributed computing, and providing an alternative to the big hosting providers. Like loyalty. I love identity. I think the future of identity is is utilizing decentralized identity, DIDs, sharing with consent on your information, sharing as little information as possible to satisfy it, breaking down the these honeypots of data that are appearing everywhere.
What do you think about the future of like social media? Do you think that you think there will be a blockchain that can replace the Facebook, Twitter, Instagrams of the world? Like, do you think EOS's voice will could cut into that market share, whatever you want to call it, and get people to head over to the blockchain realm and decentralize a little bit? I know as far as blockchains go, EOS isn't the most decentralized, but in comparison, to Facebook or Twitter, it is. So what do you think about the future of that?
I think there's all sorts of, projects that are taking a good stab at that. It's going to be very difficult to disrupt those behemoths and, transition people off. I think it's much more likely that, we'll see them integrate. It's really hard to try and take on a very large, project or entity or force like Facebook by just doing what they're doing and just making it crypto. I'm a bigger believer in aggregation theory. Like, build something that seamlessly integrates with those other sites, that is new, that generates value. But that said, if the experience is there, and and if there's more mounting frustrations around content visibility, and discoverability, around the fact that we're being exploited for our value using these things, people can shift. This requires reaching that kind of tipping point and delivering some sort of next level of experience and value to people towards switching over. Can it happen? I think so. I think it's I'm very optimistic and hopeful, and I'm looking forward to trying voice and seeing how that is. But it's tough to change people off of what they're used to and what they're onto.
It does seem like they're, the older people, people maybe 50s, 60s and older that are left on Facebook. A lot of us stay on there just to keep, because there are people on there still, and maybe we can bring some of the people that aren't as into tech and economics and stuff along to the blockchain realm. But it does seem like there has been a slight, maybe I'm just optimistic, exodus from Facebook. At least a lot of my friends have gotten off there. Maybe we'll see this switch over to the decentralized platforms. I'm not sure. I'm optimistic though. I've met a lot and seen a lot of people move over to Steam it. So I'm hoping that voice takes even more of the Facebook crowd.
Yeah. Or finds a way to play nicely with Facebook and integrate into it and allow this extra channel where, if I can post through there, it'll simultaneously, post over there as well. I know a lot of people leave Facebook, but I don't see the benefit of doing that. At this point, it's such a strong kind of contact book. It's even just for people's birthdays, it's so strong. And then add Messenger onto it, Messenger groups. It's really good. If they follow through on their commitment to privacy and and integrating that and taking advantage of the decentralized web, it can be an excellent tool. It's one of these exponential tools, and it's free. There's a cost, but we don't have to pay for it.
It doesn't take much education to get into Facebook either. It's kind of like you log in and that's it. It doesn't, I think people get a little, one thing about blockchain is that we're only a decade in and it's still just the word, I don't know, blockchain. It seems to just scare people. They get that lost in the, abyss sort of look or whatever.
Same with crypto too. Crypto is it's a bad word. It's it's just, it has a tough vibration on it. It has weird inferences. There's a lot of subliminal programming around the word crypto.
So you mentioned that you had some questions for me, but I wanted to hear if you had any parting shots, anything else you wanted to mention. I know you talked about your wallet, your book. Is there any links you want to drop or anything like that?
Well, we also have the decentralized dance parties too, which we've been doing. We had one to mark the launch of the Swiss key, and then we had one at the Futurist Conference too, and we're going to have one on World Peace Day in Vancouver on September 21st. And these are the most incredible kind of, interactive social experiences. The number of people who have said, I've had the time of my life, the best night of my life by engaging in these, because, it flips, the construct of partying, upside down, as opposed to going into, the club and, it's a very dominant kind of structure. We take it to the streets. We bring music. We fire these puppies up, and it's not connected right now, but I could connect it. These things are so loud. It's amazing how loud. These are Soundbox. This is a company out of Copenhagen that's just killing it.
How much does one of those weigh? Is it pretty light?
How much is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not expecting an exact. I'm just wondering,
it's.
Oh, okay, so it's not crazy. Nice.
No, it's, I think, 15 kilos.
Okay.
So it's 30 pounds. And the battery on them lasts for about 8 hours, depending on how loud you're playing it. And, they're, amazing. They make so much sound. And so with the DDP, we've got a whole bunch of these usually. We've got these jammy packs, which are high-powered kind of portable fanny packs with speakers in them. We also have boom boxes, like legacy, like old boombox, battery powered boom boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And we use an FM transmitter and like pick a dead channel and then broadcast it. Not a huge broadcast. We don't broadcast for a whole city, but we broadcast for maybe like, 1,000 feet like diameter.
That's really cool. Yeah.
And then when we move and we go from spot to spot and we like, we dance all over the place and we're welcoming into everybody. And, usually there's lights and props and awesome costumes that people are wearing, which just lets people kind of release. And always like people join and then we just go and, it's not about like where we're going. It's about just going and just getting.
Not do this again sometime. Everyone check out his book. Be on the lookout for that wallet. And I appreciate your time, man.
And thank you for your time. It's been great. And congratulations with getting Epic Cash up. I'm looking forward to giving it a test. Let's explore how we get into the wallet, and let's just like keep doing what we do and keep doing a great job.
Absolutely, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll talk to you soon, Kyle. Thanks a lot, man.
All right. Next time, maybe we can go over some of those cool vinyls you got back there.
Hey, we can break them out. I can ship you a couple. We'll talk about it. Take it easy, man.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.